Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our daily word this morning. Thanks for joining me for our time together. You can see at McDonald's in Coldwater this morning. I'm not very busy here today, which is kind of interesting. Just got done with physical therapy, and so stopped here for a little bit of breakfast and a big cup of coffee and for our daily word. So today is daily word number 671. And as always, you've carved out time to be with me, and I appreciate that. I'm thankful for comments and say good morning whenever it is that you watch and join me together. So I've been thinking about yesterday's text about we have this treasure in clay vessels, and God's and that reminder from that God's Spirit fills us, that we're filled with the dwelling of God, and what that means for us, and how we're then closer to God, and God works in us because of that. And so this scripture from John chapter 8 verse 19, this one particular verse is an interesting one for us to think about, I think, as we think about God's presence. And so they said to Jesus, "Where is your Father?" Jesus answered, "You neither know me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also." Now, it's interesting that I don't think that Jesus ever claimed to be God. He affirmed unity with God in that verse that I just read. He talked about in this text his existence, his pre-existence, when he said, before Abraham was, I am. It's interesting. But Jesus most often distinguished himself from God. He often said, "My Father is greater than I am." They sometimes said, they called Jesus good teacher, and Jesus said, "No, you can't call me teacher. Why do you call me good? No one's good except God alone." But I believe and believe fully that Jesus knew that the Father, that God, was in him, that he breathed in him. He stopped short of saying, "I'm God" or "I'm the Father," but he understood and knew of God's presence deep inside of him. He breathed him in. And I think those are some important words for us, and the way to think about who God is in the world. As I said, I've been struck by that scripture yesterday from 1 Corinthians, and that this vessel that we have, that we're filled with God, that God's presence is filled in us. And I think, in our most difficult times in life, when we struggle the most, that I think what we are called to do in this text and in our lives is to breathe in God, to breathe in God, and to allow God to continue to fill this vessel that is ours. And so God, this reminder for us, God is in us and through us. And as we breathe in, we know that we are one with God and God is one with us. And that we, as the scripture says, may all be one. And so I think that's so important for us, in our daily struggles. So, major surgeries this week, a couple of folks having some major tests this week, just my conversations with folks. I'm meeting with a person later this afternoon just to talk about church. They've been visiting. They want to talk about church. Meeting with my confirmation class tonight, and another person who's just so interested, who's going to come to confirmation. All of these things are so important for us. And I think for me and for you, that this call to breathe in God and to know that God is always present with us wherever we are is so critical and important for us. And so I pray that's good for us and good for you and good for me as we live our lives, and that you'll take a deep breath and breathe it in, and know of God's presence with you. So that's our word for today. A little shorter than normal, I know. But this is starting to get to be a little bit of a busy place. So I pray you'll know of God's love that surrounds you, that fills you, and that you'll breathe in deeply the presence of God and know of my love for you. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day.